James Melendez, James, a tech guy. I'm here to talk about Toodledo. It's an overview, so stay tuned. What I love about this application is it helps me to keep completely organized. Now, I would say that I use two particular applications, this one and also Asana. Asana is a project management light application versus there are many more out there that are much more specific towards budget or timeline. But for me and what I do, it's really, really helpful. So I'm also James, a wine guy, James, a tech guy, James, a travel guy. In addition to many other projects that I'm on, I have a very entrepreneurial way of thinking of these things. I think tasks is really important, and some really great tools to totally do. This is an application that I utilize on my iPhone as well. So I made up some tasks on this list here, and I think the design of this is really, it takes just some getting used to, not completely rocket science here. And I'm just going to walk you through some things. So you can do your tasks here. There's some notes. Notes I think is a nice addition. So why I use, say, Toodledo versus Asana is that I have just tasks to look at, or maybe notes. And there's really not a place where I can just put notes in there because it always looks like a task. That's not really what I intended or wanted. Or maybe there's outlines that I need to do. So maybe I'm frequently giving talks and I want to keep an outline in here. That's a great way of organizing this as opposed to reinventing your outline, or maybe just different ways of thinking of things. Maybe an outline is to just keep you organized in a particular approach or thing. So it's not necessarily a talk, but just ways of organizing your thoughts. There's also lists, so you can create grocery lists here, reading lists, gifts received. I did some example lists here, and we'll talk about that in a moment. I just want to give you this very, very 50,000 foot overview. I think this is really a really handy dandy tool to look at in terms of, you can put exercise here, you can put flossing, which I think is a really good thing. So, this hits on the personal side, but it could be, maybe you need a social media check every day. And I think it's a really nice, handsome function. So let's start at the tasks list. This is going to be on the top portion always. And you just need to, bring the arrow down to show that. So I've listed all these together. You can, first of all, create folders for this if you want. There are no folders at this time. You can create due dates or not. That is up to you. Are these repeating or not? And that's another way to view that. You can also prioritize. I use this a lot, this function. So there's about 4 settings. You have actually 5. You have 5 settings. 3 is the number 1, 2 high, 1 medium, and -1 gets it below in terms of just these segmented areas here, and you can visualize that as well. You can put in notes here, which I think is a really nice thing. It's easy to do what I call on the fly. So if I just want to add a note here, I could just add something right here. And I think this is, just click out of it, then you've added your note. So nothing complex here, just a nice one touch. There's 3 ways to sort from this. So it's a prioritization in terms of first, second, and third. And here are the categories you can look at. So you can create them alphabetically. That's one way to prioritize. You can add in terms of date added. You can look in terms of due date or folders or importance levels. And so there's the importance level you see there. So it's going to segment in terms of maybe it's going to prioritize on the level 6. The number 3 is a top priority. And also I listed a date here. So if I didn't list a date and I added number 3, so when I added 3 top, what it did was it recognized that I didn't put a date here. So if I put a date here, let's also compete with this in terms of, say, September 15. Let's put that in there. Let me refresh this screen. And it goes to this very, very top portion. So it's a highly helpful way of organizing your information and thoughts. And maybe there's different ways you do that. Maybe it's through a starring system or date modified or due date even. The second level is also very, very helpful because it'll prioritize. So it'll start off with the first prioritization, which might be, let's say, the importance level. Secondarily, maybe by alpha, and the third level might be through the folder or maybe a star. So that's really there to help you. You can utilize them or not utilize them. That's up to you. And this for me, I think, and here's how you complete a task. So you can look at your past tasks if you needed to. You just need to do a refresh here, so that task is gone. Now the difference to adding tasks, you can just add one here quickly. So this is your quick entry, quick task. I'll just call this one. So that's done there, or you can add a task. So this is not as quickly added task. But the idea behind this is that you just put your due dates in here. You can put, repeat or not repeat, and your priority levels. You can go back and say this particular test we did here, you can actually reprioritize on the fly as well. So it's just there to help you. That's really the function of that, and you have to save that. So when you use this add task, you have to save your task in order for that to be placed on the screen here. And I think that's a really nice way of doing that. So I'm going to just cancel out of that for now. Next, we're going to go to notes. So notes, I just put just made this up. This is nothing that's really that I'm working on. I do have another one that I utilize. It's a little messy, and that's why I didn't use that, just because I haven't cleaned it up in a while, and I wanted to show you just a much more easy to look at, so it's not misunderstood. You can put a timestamp here when this was done, and so forth, and save that. I think this is a nice way of keeping standardized information. Maybe it's addresses. Don't use it as a contact list, but maybe there's a specific project orientation you need, or maybe you wanted to just put maybe your ticket numbers in here. There's a lot of things you can do with this that can help you out. Outlines. Now I do give talks. I do a lot of repeated things, and to me having a task list is a nice way of prioritizing or looking at things or remembering things. And you can create as many tasks or outlines rather that you want to get things done. Just a very handy way of keeping outlines separated from notes, because I think outlines are different than notes. Notes are just something to reference to. Outlines are maybe a way of thinking, or maybe a particular speech. So an outline could be a speech you're giving, or maybe it's just an orientation of how you want to recognize or go through a particular methodology, for example. The next one is the lists. Now lists I like a lot. I just created this one here. This is my reading list. And I think it's a really nice functionality here. So you could add other things. So here what you want to do is you just want to put cost. And that's going to tell you the cost of the book, so you remember what that is. So maybe this, I paid $22 for this book. So that's listed there. So some really nice ways of looking at lists, and the customization is fantastic. We'll just look at this one more time and look at create new column. So everything from checkbox to decimal to note, percentage, rating, year, URL, etc. is all here for you. It's a nicely done way to just organize your thoughts. And the last one is habits. Now habits I think is really cool, because habits are a way of looking at how you do things, and how will you accomplish this. So when you look at this list here, maybe you want your list to look like in terms of I only want to do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for my exercise routine, for example. And it's going to give you that visualization in terms of when you get this completed. So Tooledo, when I look at this, is just one way for me to keep everything organized. If you use a calendar and you think that's going to help you, it may not help you, because guess what? When time passes, your calendar is going to move on, and maybe something you put in your calendar is 30 days ago, 40 days ago. How are you going to remember that unless it's repeating? Then it gets really filled. So I think there's a reason for having a great tool like Toodledo. So again, I'll link together the Asana video, because I think that's one to look at as well. It's one way that I keep completely organized. So thank you again for watching today. Stay tuned for more James the Tech Guy reviews, and questions and comments, please list them below. Salute!